All right, I'm going to call the meeting of the General Purposes Committee meeting to order. You have the agenda in front of you. I want to put on for a referral to staff potentially number 3 on this, which would be the SAFER, S-A-F-E-R program. So may I have a motion on the agenda? Moved and seconded. All those, any discussion on that? All those in favor, opposed, carried. For the minutes, may I have a motion? Moved and seconded. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Now, the city events program, we start off with a video. Councillor Hubs, I understand there's a declaration you're making?
Yes, Your Worship. I'll recuse myself when it comes to the Maritime Festival.
Because?
Because I'm still on the board for 3 more days, so there's a conflict there.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take all this in. We'll look at it, except for the Maritime Festival, and then have a subsequent discussion on the Maritime Festival by itself, and we can ask Councillor Hubs to leave. So I think it's Lisa. Do you have a short 3-minute video?
That's right. Thank you, Mayor Brody. Thank you for the opportunity to share this brief video that showcases some of the highlights of the 2021 City Events Program.
A sweet distraction, a funny face, a new attraction. Change that song. Sometimes my sunny skies are blue, but then it's really up to you to turn the light on, 'cause it's a good life. So live it like it's the last night of your travel to a million places with crowded streets and endless spaces. Boy, there's no end. And all I seek is true salvation, to understand this great creation and make amends. Sometimes the nights, they seem too long. I feel my heart can carry on, but the sun with tomorrow, 'cause it's a good life. So live it like it's the last night of your life. Yes, it's a good life. So live it like it's the last night of your life. Well, it's time to break free. As the golden sky shines upon the leaves, you know fall has come and feel it in the breeze. Small town of Steveston where she does a run. This used to be a sleepy little hick town. Not much happening, not much going down. In the evening you can see her as she dives around.
Just watch over every individual, make sure that they have a good day. Heichka, all my relations.
Big breeze blowing across the big blue sea. Last time here, say goodbye to me. New wind coming and it says to me, come live with me by the sea. You left me standing by the white rock pier. I knew I had to get my life in gear. You with me is how the world should be. Come live with me by the sea. I try to get the meaning about how we're meant to be. Through endless seas of ocean, I can't fathom anything. Maybe it's enough to just comb the drifting tides.
Okay, thank you. To staff, is there anything to add to your report?
I have nothing further to add at this time. I would like to mention that Alan Sakai, the president of the Season Community Society and the Richmond Agricultural and Industrial Society, as well as I believe Dr. Jim Tanaka, one of the festival directors of the Richmond Cherry Blossom Festival, are here to answer any questions about the specific events. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, I think the report is fairly self-explanatory. We'll just go to any questions that there may be. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. I had a question regarding the Signature Multicultural Festival for Richmond, and I believe it's the $40,000 budget. It states on GP 18 that the funding will be allocated to undertake a visioning and consulting process. So is that all we're going to get for that $40,000?
As the report suggests, through the chair to Councillor Day, as the report suggests, we would like to set up some mini events throughout the year that would allow us to consult with stakeholders and the public while also determining the priorities for a future multicultural festival for Richmond.
So we will have actual events, and then that becomes part of the study.
Exactly, yes, thank you.
All right, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. Through your worship to staff, I just one comment. I'll have to watch the video again. I felt it went really fast, and there's lots of familiar faces having great times at our event. So thanks for putting it in a very concise way. Anyhow, the question I had relates to our council package 14, and on there that's where the budget item is for the neighborhood celebration grants. And if you look at all the other events, what they were proposed previously is what they're the proposed budget is what they're requesting. Like it matches. That's the only one that doesn't match, and obviously it's because it's not one event. So anyway, my question is, does staff feel that the actual events that come in will be similar to what we expected last year? Is that why it's just $75,000 right away? Because if it was different, if we thought, and I'd like to know if we actually think, are we going to get more or get less at the current stage we're in, or indeed do we expect to get what we would have had a year ago?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, we did keep the budget for the neighborhood celebrations grants consistent with what was asked for in previous years. As I believe you know, we were not able to activate that program either in 2020 or in 2021, given the ongoing restrictions on gathering. We do hope that, while things are not 100% now, we do hope that as we get into 2022, that there will be opportunities to gather and that we can launch the program. However, as the report proposes, we would like to look at opportunities to potentially launch the Neighborhood Celebration Grants program in phases so that we can see if there are community members who are interested in proposing ways to connect community members, even if we aren't able to gather in large groups and neighborhoods as is initially envisioned with this program.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you through the chair. No further questions, but I really like that approach of phasing it in, because often groups can't get it together at the exact date they need. They need a little bit more time. There's board members stepping off and that kind of thing. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councillor McPhail. Linda?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to staff. Well, thank you very much to for the really fulsome report. And my question was around the neighborhood celebration grants as well. I've had a couple of questions from community, and as your report notes, there was a lot of groups that applied. I think it was over 67, I think you said. And so will they be contacted then to help you reimagine what this could look like?
Through your worship to Councillor McPhail, definitely we will keep in touch with those applicants who had applied in previous years. I think that's a really great idea to reach out to ask them to help us to revision what the 2022 program could look like.
I mean, you've done an amazing job, but I think some of our best ideas come from the community, events for the community, by the community, so I think that would be really helpful. I'm prepared to move the recommendation, Your Worship. I wanted to say thank you to staff. Can I move the recommendation?
Okay, so.
Second.
Okay, so it's moved and seconded, having taken out the Maritime Festival with the necessary adjustments. And we'll get to the Maritime Festival shortly after we vote on that. So, Councillor McNulty, Bill?
Yeah, and thank you, Worship. I'll support everything that's on here. I think it's a step in the right direction. I would offer some caution on the multicultural festival for Richmond, because to be quite frank with you, the World Festival missed its mark. And if we're going to have a Made in Richmond and we're going to support cultural harmony, it's got to focus totally on cultural harmony, almost like what we used to do when the Rotary Cups put on Kaleidoscope, and that over 2 days. So I think that's a step in the right direction. I think it has a lot of potential with a lot of input from the various partners throughout. And I'm glad to see what we're doing with the Salmon Festival. This hopefully will be the 75th anniversary of the Steveston Salmon Festival and finally get it in and on its way. And with the Cherry Blossom Festival, I think I'd like to continue to see that expand. Everybody raves about Gary Point in the months of late March and early April. And I think it's the idea of having a festival there is apropos. So for everything that's on there, I'm pleased to second us going forward, save the Maritime Festival.
Okay, we'll call the question then on the motion with the adjustments made to exclude the Maritime Festival from it. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? So that is carried. We will excuse Councillor Hubs. Thank you. Someone want to move on the...
Move the Maritime Festival be included in the program.
And the necessary funding, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that goes.
Yeah. So that's moved and that's seconded. Any comments on that? All right, so we'll call the question. All those in favor? Anybody opposed to that? That is carried. All right, you can ask Councillor Hubs to come back in. All right, that brings us to the council and committee meeting schedule. You see that it's been reconstituted to take into account the fact that we should have the 2 planning committee meetings per month as we have always done. And then there's option 1 where there's no adjustment for UBCM, or option 2 where there is. So, Claudia, Madam Clerk, do you have anything further to add?
Nothing further to add, Your Worship.
All right.
Move the recommendation.
Just a minute. The recommendations, we have to, which option? Option 1 without UBCM?
With the 2 planning committee meetings a month.
No, I know that. But do you want, option 1 has no adjustment for UBCM, option 2 has an adjustment for UBCM. I think you'd want option 2, which allows people to go to UBCM without having to miss meetings, right?
So moved.
Okay, so that option 2 is moved, and is it seconded? It is seconded. Okay, Councillor Wolf. Councillor Wolf, you are muted.
Well, I rarely get caught doing that, sorry. But option 2 is what I was actually putting my hand up to speak to, because I was going to move the motion for that to accommodate the UBCM. So thanks for the jump ahead on that. I will voice my I don't know, discomfort or opposition slightly to having the 2 set planning committee meetings per month. I voted against it at the the last time this was brought up 2 weeks ago or so. Looking at planning coming up this week, there's one item on the agenda. I know last week's did go long. There was a large item. I also feel that large item could have gone to general purposes because it is so important to all things citywide. Anyhow, so I am going to support option 2 that's on the floor. Thank you.
All right, then I'm going to call the question on the motion. Option 2, which makes adjustment to allow for no meetings while UBCM is on. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? So that is carried. The third item, which I just asked to be added to the agenda, there's something called the SAFER program, SAFER program. And it's basically a situation where there's rental subsidies. I'll just read the memo we got from staff. Funded and operated by BC Housing. The SAFER program provides eligible seniors with monthly financial assistance to help with their rent payments. Eligible seniors are over the age of 60. They reside in BC on a permanent basis, pay more than 30% of their monthly income towards the rent of their home. And the maximum qualifying income is $33,000 annually per household. Vancouver recently, this was brought to my attention, that Vancouver recently brought in a motion to say they should write to the provincial government to say, no, you should increase that 33,000. It's not resilient enough. There's many people who could really use this kind of a subsidy, and they make more than 33,000, which in today's day and age isn't a huge sum. So my suggestion is we simply ask that the SAFER program be referred to staff for their analysis and recommendations on advocacy to have the government make changes such as increasing the maximum qualifying income. So that's my motion. Okay, so that's moved and seconded. Okay, Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could just ask staff to provide some information on this. I didn't get any email or anything before this meeting, so just ensure that something before council comes to follow up on. Well, just even though it's a direction to staff, just more information to it, even though it's not going.
I'll ask Madam Clerk if you could make sure this was it was October 13th, but it was one of the many memos that you got. But it's BC Housing SAFER program. There was a kind of a basic analysis of the situation. So if Madam Clerk, if you could recirculate that memo. Then we have Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. So my question is, do we know if they have regular increase for that 33,000 income? Like, is it based on, like the standard, cost of living, or how is the program run?
I do not know that, and this is going to be referred to staff, and they'll give us that kind of information. Obviously, if there's automatic increments, it would vary what we might say. There's no indication, though, in the memo that I have seen that there's a COLA clause or anything like that. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll go to Councillor Hubs.
Thank you, and through the chair, I think this is an excellent idea to look into it, because the circumstances for individuals with that level of income can be very complicated, like anybody's, and there can be all kinds of factors that weigh into it. So I'm completely in favor of this. And I'm just curious, is there a deadline for this reevaluation? Is it tied to any date, or is it just open?
No, at least the way it was expressed in Vancouver, it was just a good idea. And I think that would be the same. Maybe we could add on to the referral whether it'd be appropriate to send a motion to a resolution to UBCM on the thing as well.
That'd be a good idea.
Okay, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Obviously, be supporting this. 33,000 is literally, in this day and age, almost the bare minimum. You're in need. It works out to, if you worked out, you work out, it'd be about $20 an hour at a job. And for people to have to pay rent and what have you and not be subsidized, it put tremendous hardship. I'd like staff to analyze how far up we should go. And because BC Housing, their thresholds are very inconsistent. They even go up to $150,000 a year, and you can live in some BC Housing places. And I kind of say, wait a minute, you start making six figures, you can afford probably to pay your own market rental, as opposed to those below $33,000. And we've got many people along that line. So I hope we can do a very thorough analysis, Your Worship, and then lobby the appropriate partners to include that. And Richmond could take the lead. And I appreciate the fact that you're saying, let's send it to UBCM. I think we've got to be part and parcel of all of this in terms of not only Metro Housing, but BC Housing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the Vancouver resolution also talked about making it eligible to members of housing co-ops. So anyway, yes, a thorough analysis would go a long way. Councillor Wolf, you had something more?
Yes, thank you. Just to clarify, I do have the memo, but if I could ask the staff to provide any further updates since the memo, like what was described on what Vancouver City Council did. And I also will mention I'll support the UBCM addition to this item. That's good call. Thanks.
Okay, so on the referral, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. I think that's it for the open meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, that's moved and seconded. All those in favor, opposed, carried.